Jai Hind, everyone. The Chinese PLA Navy has successfully test fired an intercontinental ballistic missile that has been launched from its submarine. Now, this is not an ordinary missile test. The intercontinental ballistic missile that was launched from a submarine flew over 7,300 kilometers over the territory of Philippines and successfully landed into the international waters. Now, this test comes at a time when China probably calls it a routinal exercise. But this test delivers a message across the entire globe. Now, this test has been conducted at a time when US has been very vocal about Chinese nuclear capabilities. India has been establishing strategic agreements and strategic partnerships across the South Asia as well as the Indo-Pacific region. Recently, India has done agreements with Indonesia. Australia has been establishing itself in the Indo-Pacific region with strategic partnerships, and similarly, Japan has also been doing so. Now, this test is not just a test, but the message to let everyone understand about the improving nuclear capabilities of China. Now, when we look deep into this test that has been conducted, now this test, the China tested its sea-based long-range intercontinental ballistic missile last week. Now, this effectively is the first ever test of a submarine based ballistic missile in international waters that has been conducted by China. Okay. Now, this test was reportedly launched from the PLA Navy Jin class type 094 submarine that is based in the South China Sea. So, the test is delivering key message to all the Quad countries which are trying to outplay China. Now, this is the second launch of a ballistic missile in international waters since 1980. So, China has conducted a land-based ICBM test of DF-31 in 2024. Okay. Now, this latest test missile, which was reportedly launched from the Jin class 094 submarine, which is based in South China, was carrying a dummy warhead that, as I've told you previously, had traveled a distance of 7,300 kilometers, reportedly flying over Philippines before landing in the southern Pacific Ocean. Now, the dummy warhead landed within an area designated under the Treaty of Rarotonga South Pacific Nuclear Free Zone. So, in this zone, the testing or stationing of nuclear explosive devices is barred. Now, this missile, it flew over the exclusive economic zones of Micronesia, Nauru, Kiribati, and Tuvalu. So, what essentially is China planning to do? Now, one thing has been very clear that for over a decade, China has been taking opportunity of proving itself as a major nuclear capable country. So, this test missile, which was fired from a nuclear submarine, was not just another military exercise. It was essentially a message. Now, the bigger question that comes up here is that can India stop this new Chinese missile? What all options do India have? The multi-layered air defense technology that India has, is it capable of stopping China? So let us see all of these things in detail and let us find out that what all are the options available, not just to India but to all the countries in the Indo-Pacific region. Now, when we start off with this, if we see these things about the test, okay, now it was from a nuclear powered submarine in the Pacific Ocean. Okay, it was conducted on 9:31 a.m. Indian Standard Time on July 6. Now, target was in international waters. Now, target was essentially a full-scale dummy warship that was created and it was successfully destroyed. Okay, it carried dummy non-nuclear test warhead as it has been in that region. But essentially, there have been various controversies that have also been seen. Now, Australia says that only a 12-hour notice was given instead of a standard 48 hours notice. Now, this essentially shows that China never wanted the others to know about it unless and until they have successfully tested it. So if we start off with these facts, so on July 6th, the test happened. Okay, they launched a ballistic missile from a nuclear powered submarine, and this was China's first publicly acknowledged submarine based intercontinental ballistic missile test in the international waters. Moreover, it was only the second Pacific ballistic missile test that has happened since 1980s. Okay, now moving ahead, we can also understand one thing. The bigger question is that why does this matter? Now, this test, it matters because it represents a major leap in China's sea-based nuclear capabilities. And for India, this is a direct strategic concern. Now, it is not very clear, neither China has confirmed it, but it is essentially the JL3 class. Okay, so it may be, a few experts says that it may be JL2 or JL3, but if we go by its specifications, it is specifically JL3. Okay, now this is China's most advanced submarine launched ballistic missile. Okay, it is nuclear power. It can be launched from the nuclear powered submarines. In this case, it has been launched from the Jin class. It can travel over 10,000 kilometers. It is China's most advanced submarine launched till date. Can carry multiple warheads. So it has got the MIRV capability. So it can target multiple targets. Okay, can launch from underwater, no detection warning. Okay, so this is the biggest threat of launching something from the submarines. Okay, now it is submarine based. Okay, so it also has got the second strike deterrent capabilities. Clear? So if we talk about what exactly JL3 is, it is one amongst the most advanced submarine launched ballistic missile. Okay. Moreover, the Chinese state-linked commentary had indicated that the test missile was likely JL3. So, with a range over 10,000 kilometers, this can hit a target across the entire Indo-Pacific region, including the India. So, it is not just India, it can secure water from near the Chinese coast as well. Okay, it also has got MIRV capabilities. That basically means that a single missile can carry multiple warheads to different targets. Clear? So, this MIRV technology, as we have already seen, it makes it exponentially harder to intercept. Now, what essentially is the real game changer in this situation? Now, since it has been launched from a submarine, it's mobile, it is highly mobile and it has high survivability. Even if China's land-based missiles are destroyed in the first strike, its submarines can retaliate. Now, this gives China a reliable second strike capability, which is essentially the cornerstone of the nuclear deterrent. Okay. Now, the bigger question comes that why does this matter? Okay. Now, when we talk about the second strike capabilities that has been achieved, so now China can survive a first strike and retaliate. The submarines can hide in the vast ocean areas, and this is something that would reduce the vulnerability of China. Okay. Now, it has got the extended reach. Okay. Now, it has got the extended reach. So, here in the entire Indo-Pacific is in range. Even the US mainland, India, Australia, Japan, all are covered. Clear? So, now China has the capability to strike from the safe waters. Okay. Now, there are risks of nuclear escalation. Now, it would reduce the warning time for adversaries. It would complicate the early warning and decision making and would also increase pressure on the regional powers. Now, all of these activities would trigger a arms race in this region. Now, neighbors like Japan, Australia, Philippines, Vietnam, India, they are all within the range. The neighbors will now feel compelled to build up their defenses, and it would undermine the existing strategic balance that has been establishing in this region. Clear? So this is ultimately leading to a regional destabilization and China's strategic shift. Okay, so it marks a shift from land-based deterrent to sea-based one, and it would be more aggressive posture and less transparent. So that can be well established because Chinese did not follow the proper norms that was supposed to be followed while the test was being conducted. Okay, now what essentially was the global reaction? Okay, now USA criticized it, called it rapid and opaque. Okay, China called it a grave concern. Australia called the launch provocative and it said that China bypassed the 48-hour notification rule. New Zealand called it unwelcome and concerning and objected to Pacific being used as a test site. Philippines called it concerned the South China Sea tensions might increase. India has not issued any public statement, okay, and India has been monitoring the situation closely, okay. Moreover, Taiwan, there has been high alert and increased threat assessment has been taking place. Clear? So if we talk about the timing of this launch coincides with the PM's Jakarta visit and the Australia-Fiji Defence Pact. So with this missile, it is evidently clear that China also wanted to make a strategically significant impact. Clear? Next, moving ahead, if we see, can India stop this missile? Now, this is the bigger question that comes before India. Can India stop it? And what essentially is the hard truth? Okay. Now, if we have to give a very short answer, it is difficult, but India has multi-layered air defense system. Okay. If we talk about the why do I call it difficult? Because of the submarine launched, and second is the MIRV capabilities and also the high speed. Okay. Now, one thing is that what is the realistic interception that can be expected? Okay. So, realistic probability, okay, is anywhere around 30-40% to 50%. But what is the bigger game? What is something that is challenging in this? Okay. Now, we can see that entirely, okay, there have been various questions around this. Okay, a honest answer is difficult and it is not with certainty. Okay, and yet since India has not responded, we cannot say what essentially is lying with India. Clear? But realistically, even the best missile defense systems have 30 to 40% success rate. Okay, against the ICBMs and the submarine launched ballistic missiles. Okay, now that means that in given any attack, there is significant chance that at least some missiles will get through. So the short answer to this is India cannot fully stop this missile with 100% certainty. But that's not the whole story. Recently, we have seen that India has been integrating its indigenous capabilities, and that has been able to make Indian defense system foolproof. Okay, but let us see what India has. Okay, what all are the air defense systems that India has been using? Okay, now first and foremost, if we talk about the exo-atmospheric, okay, that is the defense systems above the atmosphere. Clear? So we have got the Prithvi air defense system, the PAD system, then we have got the advanced air defense system. Okay, along with this, we have got the AD1 systems. Okay, so this Prithvi air defense system, it has range for approximately 80-kilometer altitude. Okay, the advanced air defense have around the 30-kilometer altitude, and both of these are operational. Okay, the AD1 systems, okay, which targets the 5,000-kilometer range targets, has also been tested in 2024. Okay, then if we talk about the endo-atmospheric, that is within the atmosphere. Okay, herein we have got relatively better options. Okay, we have got the S-400 Russian system, which has a range of 400 kilometers. Okay, it is operational. We have got Barak 8, that is Israeli and Indian. Okay, again a range of 100 plus kilometers. Okay, and that is again operational. Okay, if we talk about the close-in defense systems, okay, we have got the Akash NG medium range. Okay, we have got the QR SAM. Okay, and also the Ananta Shastra. Okay, which are being developing. Clear? So close-in defense systems are basically the ones that we have been developing, we have been improving. Clear? So India has been building a multi-layered ballistic missile defense system for years. Okay, and these are essentially the multi-layers that we have. Clear? Now the concern here is that here we have a limitation. India's ballistic missile defense was primarily designed against the land-based missiles. Okay, like the land-based missiles that could be launched by Pakistan's Shaheen-3 or China's the DF series of China. So submarine-launched missile presents a completely different challenge because you do not know from where they are coming from. Now, in the phase 3, which India would be addressing the hypersonic and MIRV threats, it is still largely conceptual and India has not reached there yet. Okay. Now, when we move ahead, what all with air defense systems or the retaliation options that we have. Clear? So this is what we have seen about the India's air defense systems. Okay, essentially for S-400 we have got 3 squadrons operation and 2 more are in order. For Barak 8 or MRSAM, okay, it is operational, advanced variants are in development. For Akash NG, it has been inducted and upgraded variants are being deployed, and Anant Shastra, around 5 to 6 regiments are on order. Clear? So this is something that we have been developing. Now, what all other offensive capabilities or the retaliation options that we have? Clear? Now, when we talk about the retaliation option, we have got the BrahMos supersonic cruise missile, we have got the Agni series ballistic missiles, okay. Then we have got the submarine-based deterrents and the anti-ship missiles that we have. Clear? So, amongst ballistic missiles, we have got the Agni series. Amongst the cruise missiles, we have got BrahMos NG, we have got Nirbhay. Okay, in the sea-based variants, okay, we have got the K-15 Sagarika, then we have got the K-456. Okay, then in the additionally to all of this, we do have the air defense systems. Clear? Air-based, we have got the Su-30s, we have got the Rafales, and those air-based platforms, they can deliver the nuclear weapons as well. Clear? So the idea that evolves from here is that if India cannot perfectly stop a Chinese missile attack, India can deter it, okay, through an assured retaliation. Now, India's nuclear doctrine says that no first use, okay, with massive retaliation, okay. So this means that India will not strike first with nuclear capabilities, but if attacked, it will respond with a devastating force. Clear? And as we have discussed, we have got 3 pillars in this, okay. We have got the land-based missiles, we have got the sea-based deterrence, and we have got the cruise missiles in this. Clear? So the key principle in this retaliation is that if any Chinese attack on India happens, okay, then it would have an unacceptable cost. Clear? And that is where we have been maintaining deterrence. Clear? So it is not perfect defense, but the guarantee of a devastating retaliation that we have been following. Okay. Next are the non-military responses which can come up. Now, for the non-military responses, okay, it is primarily the strategic partnerships which are there. Clear? First and foremost is the Quad Alliance. Okay, so with deepening ties with USA, Japan, Australia, we can anytime ensure a collective deterrence against China. Okay, then recently the enhancing Indo-Pacific partnerships, so with Japan, with Australia, and also with the ASEAN countries, deepening ties with Indonesia. Okay, so this again becomes something which is very, very important. Okay, now with Indonesia, as previously I have discussed, we have exports of BrahMos, we have got the Astra Mark 1, we are maintaining the Sabang port, and then we have got critical minerals partnership with them. Okay, along with them, there are various diplomatic measures that that can also be taken. Okay, we can counter alliance building, or we can strengthen ties with Vietnam, Philippines, South Korea against the Chinese assertiveness. Diplomatic isolation and economic countermeasures can also be taken up against the China. Clear? So by and large, we need to understand one thing, okay, that India through these measures is trying to deliver a very clear message that India is building a network of partnerships to balance the Chinese power, and the balance that is being targeted is both militarily and also economically. Clear? Now, we can also have a look about India and China's military balance. Okay, so we have seen that China has been relatively ahead in the nuclear warheads, but the game that has to be understood that it is China is primarily winning upon quantity. Okay, and quantitatively it has to be assessed. Then China has a edge. Okay, but recently in the global power index also we have seen that strategically Indian weapons have been used in war-like situation, which has not been a case with the Chinese weapons, or the Chinese weapons that have been used, okay, globally, primarily by Pakistan, okay, they have not been able to deliver with their capabilities. Clear? Now, moving ahead, we can see that there are various things like nuclear capabilities where China is ahead, submarine launch capabilities, China is ahead, okay. Then if we talk about the fighter jets, merely by numbers, China has a slight edge. Okay. Then submarine fleet, again, we can understand that China is ahead. In naval strength, we can see China is ahead. And in GDP strength on defense also, we can see that China. Now, herein, if we have to again look over these things, so China has got significant advantage in quantitative and qualitative terms, but India's strategy focuses on credible deterrence and not with parity. Okay, so we have seen the numbers, how numbers are on Chinese side, but India has also been proving itself quite successfully in majority of these areas. Okay, next, the implications for the entire Indo-Pacific region. Now, this is a bigger concern, okay, that the entire global community has to address, okay. Now, increased regional tensions, accelerated arms race, Quad strengthening, South China Sea will become a flashpoint, US-China strategic competition and nuclear proliferation is something which is of greater concern. Clear? So, this missile test has got implications that go far beyond India. Okay, and in this we have got 5 key regional impacts. First is the arm race acceleration. So when one power will demonstrate a major strategic capability, other countries are compelled to showcase them. Okay. Second is alliance strengthening. So Quad is likely to become more formalized. Okay, the Australia, UK, US submarine pact will also become urgency, and US allies will also seek stronger security guarantees against China. Okay, next is the bigger issue is the maritime flashpoint. Okay, so the tensions in the South China Sea are already very high. Okay, now China's PLA has recently been deploying its vessels and aircrafts. Okay, after the US Philippines deal. Clear? So, in the East China Sea, Japan has already said that it expelled Chinese vessels near the Senkaku Island. So, these flashpoints will become more intense. Okay. There are risks of nuclear proliferation. So, if regional powers feel that US extended deterrence is no longer reliable, then we could see pressure coming from Japan, South Korea, or other countries to primarily develop their own nuclear weapons. Okay. Now, if all countries are compelled to develop their own nuclear weapons, this will be a huge blow to nuclear proliferation. Okay. Finally, the Pacific Island nations. Now, all the Pacific Island nations are caught in the middle. Okay, the Solomon Islands, okay, Prime Minister has recently said that China remains a good friend, but that missile testing in the Pacific was not something that a friend has to do. Okay, Australia is also signing defense pacts with Fiji and Vanuatu to counter Chinese influence. So ultimately, we have to understand that even though this test, it comes up with implications not just for India, but for all the countries. Okay, but for the countries in the entire Pacific region. Clear? So, but finally, if we have to specifically focus on India, okay, this is essentially a direct security threat. Okay, this will create more pressure upon defense spending. Okay, it will create pressure on to have imperative strategic partnerships. Okay, technology acceleration and Indo-Pacific primacy. Moreover, this is something that will also affect India to push indigenous technology or Atmanirbharta in a more assertive manner. Clear? So this something has got a direct security threat. Indian cities are now within the range of Chinese submarine launched ballistic missiles, and because submarines can launch from unexpected locations, the wartime situation would be tough, as the warning time would be significantly reduced. Okay, then it would widen the strategic gaps. Okay, we have got Chinese JL3 has 10,000 plus kilometer range and MIRV capabilities. India's K4 is still under development. Clear? Now, third, we have the defense spending pressure. Now, China spends over 24,000 billion annually on defense. Okay. India's defense budget is significantly lower. Now, to close the capability gap, India will need to increase their spending upon defense. Now, by and large, the code becomes very essential. India cannot match China alone. Now, partnerships with the US, Japan, and Australia for technology, intelligence, and maritime security are no longer optional for India. Okay. Finally, the maritime focus intensified. The Indian Ocean region is India's strategic backyard. Okay, so projects like the Sabang port in Indonesia and Great Nicobar transshipment project are critical for maintaining India's maritime presence. Okay, and by and large, India's anti-submarine warfare capabilities also require urgent upgrades to track Chinese submarines in the entire region. Clear? So these all are the activities that have been taking place, and this is how India has to counter. India has to prepare itself to counter any incident that might be triggered by China. Clear? So ultimately, the question now comes up is that can India stop China's new missile? Okay, so even though honestly, to go ahead, not with 100% certainty, but yes, it is possible along with the capabilities to attack against China. Clear? So India does not need to perfectly stop the missile, okay, or perfectly stop missile to deter China, okay. But one thing that all of us have to understand is the principle of mutual vulnerability. Okay, we have to understand that both sides can destroy each other. Clear? And this concept of mutual vulnerability remains the foundation of strategic stability. Okay. Moreover, in this situation, neither India nor China can afford a full. So neither India nor China, they can expect a full-scale conflict against each other. So finally, if India has to go ahead with a solution, okay, then India should accelerate the modernization. They should deepen their partnerships and strengthen the maritime surveillance. Clear? Moreover, India must push for regional arms control and maintain a credible deterrence. Okay, and because this credible deterrence is the only way out to keep peace between nuclear powers. Okay, and this is something that has been tried and tested, and India has been doing so this for over 7 decades. Clear? So do let me know what all are your views on this. Okay, I hope all of you would have understood that what all are these things. Do join me in my Telegram channel by the name Defense Decoded. Okay, and do not forget that the price drop is still live. Okay, the admissions to our GS Foundation batches are closing on 21st of July. Okay, you just need to use the code SRM Live to avail the price drop, where the courses are available at as low prices as 7,999. Okay, so we have been launching our complete English language GS Foundation batches in our courses in our P2I batches. Please do not miss this opportunity and start your preparation for your UPSC examination in the smartest possible manner with StudyIQ. So this was all from my side today. We'll see you all in the next session. Jai Hind.